Thank you for inviting me, Jack, and thank you, rest of the panelists and everybody that's tuning into this webinar. I also want to thank Erica from Halo for going through Halo's 8 steps to safe sleep. Those are consistent with the American Academy of Pediatrics sleep recommendations, and also with CPSC guidelines and First Candles guidelines. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I was fortunate enough to meet Susan and Dale Waters in 2007. Back in 2003, they had a problem with their daughter Sierra, who was getting her arms and legs caught in the crib slats and waking them up every night. Susan is one of the moms that's very conscious about safety, and her pediatrician recommended that she not use any bumpers, knowing that there was a risk of SIDS, potential suffocation, among other risks, including overheating and climbing. So she invented the breathable bumper back in 2003, and fortunate enough for me, she was smart enough to patent it. Since then, we've sold just a gazillion of these breathable bumpers, and hopefully are helping moms provide a much safer environment for their baby than the fluffy bumpers that can be dangerous. We recommend to moms that they use our breathable bumper. It's the only one on the market due to our patent, at least for the first 12 months. That's really the most dangerous time, where the babies can push themselves up against a fluffy bumper. And according to some research that was initiated by First Candle, there's a doctor, his name is Dr. Thatch, it's published on the American Academy of Pediatrics website, that shows that babies, for some reason, which we don't understand, can push themselves up with their legs. They can use their legs to push themselves up against the bumper. And instead of having the natural instinct to pull themselves back off the bumper as they're suffocating, they actually will push themselves into the bumper more. And because the diaphragm is so weak, they call it type 2, the muscle in there is not strong enough, and they fatigue quickly and they can suffocate, and this is the problem. So what happens with our bumper is that, besides the fact that you can see, if you just go into the store, you can go into a store and look at it, you can go to Baby Age and look at the website, you can go to our website, and you can look at the actual fabric, and you can see that it's got holes, so it's obvious that you can breathe through it. But if you go to the next slide, Erica, you can see here, this is an enlargement of the fabric, and you can see the little fibers that are showing in the middle. The fabric, when you compress it, it's almost impossible to form an airtight seal, and that's because when you compress our fabric, those fibers will never line up perfectly. It would be like putting your mouth on small rocks. There's always air access. So even if our bumper was loose in the crib and your baby put her mouth on it and pressed firmly, and if you take our fabric, and you try this yourself, you take our fabric and you put it on a mattress or any non-breathable surface like a table, try it first with just a regular sheet, and you will see that you can form an airtight seal and you will not be able to breathe. But if you take our fabric and put it down on a non-breathable surface like a mattress, and you push down as hard as you can with your mouth, you will still be able to breathe. And that fabric is made exclusively for us, and that's what we call our ACT technology. It makes it virtually impossible to suffocate on our fabric. We feel like the American Academy of Pediatrics is soon going to recommend against using bumpers because this risk is so high, and that makes our product, we think, the alternative, the solution. Because there is also a risk of not using a bumper. There's the risk that your baby can bruise her head on the crib slats, although we don't think that risk is, there's actually very few cases of that. There's more cases actually of babies breaking their arms and legs, their limbs in the crib slats. So we think it's important to have a bumper, but to use our bumper, a breathable bumper, in place of a soft and fluffy bumper. We've won some prestigious awards over the past 3 years, and including an award from pediatricians who recommend our bumpers to all moms. Lastly, our bumper is made thin, which provides just a little bit of protection against bruising, not a lot, but it's made thin so that the bumper will collapse. So if the baby tries to stand up on our bumper, it will collapse and it will impede climbing so the baby can't climb out of the crib.
Thank you, Mark. So as you were going through your presentation, there was actually a question that I had kind of thought of, and surprisingly, we had two of our participants who cued the same question or the same gist, and that is that not all cribs have slats on all four sides. So there's some cribs that are sleigh cribs where it's kind of a full headboard versus a slatted headboard and footboard, and there's some cribs like the Crib and More that they have the changing table attached. So what do you use? Because in the photos that you showed, you kind of used the slats to weave the bumper through. So in a crib where there is a solid wood side versus slats on all four sides, what do you use to secure your bumper?
Yes,
or do you have a bumper for that particular application?
Yes, thank you. That's a good question. We don't have any ties or strings on our bumpers in order to be safer, to make sure there's no risk of choking, no choking hazards. But what we do is we provide enough Velcro in key areas along the trim so that our bumper fits all cribs. It fits cribs that have solid end backs, solid ends, or solid backs. It fits cribs of all sizes that are sold in the United States, and we designed it specifically to do that. So what happens is you can just go to our website, and there's YouTube videos that show how to install it on whatever crib that you might have. And there's also instructions inside the breathable bumper, but it's easier just to go to the website and watch the video. Essentially what happens is that the bumper folds back and then attaches with Velcro, so it folds back on itself and is like, you know, it's double thick in some of those parts, but obviously still very breathable. So it does fit all cribs.
So what you're saying that if you put it in, let's say, a porter crib or a smaller footprint crib, you would weave it through as you had shown, and you would kind of double it back in some spots?
You would double it back, but you would not have it on those solid end portions of the crib. So, for example, let's picture a solid end crib. Okay, you've got slats in the back, and you've got slats in the front, and both sides are solid. The bumper would only be along the slatted sides of the crib. There would be no bumper at all on the solid portion of the crib. So you obviously would still have risk of bruising on those solid ends, but you would have no risk of breaking limbs on the slatted ends, and you would still have a much safer environment than no bumper or a fluffy bumper.
Got it. And as you double it back, you're doubling it back on the outside so that you don't have two layers inside the crib, or do you?
That's correct. You double it back on the outside. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And it's important to know that you don't have the bumper along the solid end portions of the crib. You would have no bumper there. You would only have the bumper on the slatted portions of the crib.
Okay, but just to make sure that everybody's clear, if you'd like to go and see a video, if it's not already available on babyh.com, you can go to YouTube and search for Breathable Baby to find the videos, which will give you really good guidance on proper installation, especially for those cribs that are not slatted on all four sides.
That's right. Or you can go to our website, Jack, which is breathablebaby.com, and it's very easy to find those installation videos.
Well, that was a great presentation. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.